So here is Maddie walking around in our old city street scene, like we've seen in so many previous videos, except today it looks kind of different. It looks dark and spooky, and it's hard to see where we're going. Almost like it's nighttime. So I've thought about maybe adding a day and night cycle to the game, just to make it a little more interesting, a little more immersive. So in a normal game project, the first thing you'd probably go to is the sun. And in Unity, every light, and my sun is a directional light, every light has a color, and you can change the color, make it lighter or darker, or change the tint, and that makes the light correspondingly lighter or darker. So if we have a dark sun, maybe it'll look more like night. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case in my game because I have a custom cartoony shader, and it's less affected by light than normal physics-based rendering. So as you can see, I can change the color of the sun. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, but there are other factors we can change and try to get our convincing nighttime look. So another thing we can change is the skybox material, because a darker sky will make it look more like night. So you can see here in the material properties, I have it set to this ugly yellow color, because that's what suits my game. Now I'll switch it to white, and then you can see what the skybox would look like without me messing with it. It looks more like an ordinary blue sky. So that's how you can change the tint and get a different look. And you can see I can change it to all sorts of crazy colors, any color I want. And including a dark color, I can make it look like nighttime. Maybe a dark blue. Another thing we can change is the ambient light, which is kind of a glow that everything has. It's a simple way to simulate indirect lighting, and that's under rendering, environment, and then like everything else, we have a tint color that we can change to whatever we want, and I will show you what effect that has on our scene. Yeah, so I change it to red, and everything is glowing red, and makes a much bigger difference than the direct lighting. And lastly, we can just go into our post-processing effect and just change the tint arbitrarily, and that just colors everything after rendering has been done. So that's the fakest way to do it, but it's pretty direct. And the great thing about Unity is that I can change all of these settings using code as well. So let's make some code to turn day into night and night into day. I'm going to start by making a container class to store the time of day settings, the 4 settings that I talked about, and I'm going to make it a scriptable object. And the reason I make it a scriptable object is because I can make multiple instances of this template and save them as assets in my project. So I can save on the hard drive, I can save a different setting for day, I can save one for night, and sunset or sunrise, whatever I want. Next, we just make 4 members, one for each of our properties, and each one's going to be a color, and we'll have one for the ambient light, one for the skybox tint, one for the sun color, that's the color of the light, and then one for the post-processing tint. And that's all we need to do for the template. Oh, one other thing we do need to do is we need to create this kind of meta tag up here so that the Unity editor will add this scriptable object to the Create Assets drop-down menu. So that's first properties, the default file name there, then menu name, that's the name of the menu that this item can be created with. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then there's one called order. I don't know what that does actually. I just always set it to 1. So after adding that meta tag thingy, now I can go to assets and then scriptable objects, and then I can see the scriptable object I just made on the menu. So now I can use the editor to create as many of these as I want. Alright, now let's write the script that actually changes the settings in the engine. So we're going to call it time of day environment effects, and that's going to inherit from mono behavior so they can run in the scene in real time. Do you want to know a secret? Just so you know, I'm not actually typing this code really fast off the top of my head. In fact, what I'm doing is I am pressing the delete key over and over again really fast, and then I am playing the video back in reverse. The actual code I wrote and debugged 3 or 4 days ago. And the reason I'm doing this is not to try to fool anybody to think I'm some kind of master coder who always gets it right the first time. It's just so that I can come up with some cute animation to go along with my narration. That's all it is. Oh yeah, so where were we? Yeah, okay. So first we need a reference to our template that we just made, and I'm actually going to make an array of them so there can be more than one template, and that way we can accommodate having a day, night, in between. We have a reference to our light, which is the sun, and then we have an integer which is just pointing to which member of our array do we have selected at this point in time. So I'll make a method to set the time of day. The first thing we can do is we can set the ambient light to whatever's in the template, and we can do that with just one simple line of code. It's in the render settings, and we'll just take our profile and hit whatever's in there. To change the sky material, we're going to need 3 lines of code. So first, we need to go to the render settings and grab a copy of the skybox material, store it in sky, and then in our copy we're going to set the tint according to what's in the profile, and then we're going to go back to the render settings and set the skybox back to our copy. And then setting the color for the light that we're using as the sun, that's also pretty easy. We're just setting that light's color to the color that's in the profile. And then likewise I can set the post-processing tint. I just need to grab a reference to our post-processing component and change the tint color. Alright, and here's 2 profiles I created. So the top one is for the regular daytime, which is the ugly yellow skybox and everything else nominal, and then you can see the nighttime profile has a bunch of dark colors, and then we have something in between which is going to be a sunset, so it's kind of orangish. So testing out the first profile, we have the same old game we already know and love. It's exactly the same as it's always been. Yellow sky, midday, overcast. Here is our sunset profile. Everything's still well lit, but the sky is getting orange, the shadows are getting long. And lastly, our nighttime profile, which we saw earlier in the video. Everything's very dark. When you see it looks like this, that means it's time to go home and go to bed. One thing that would be cool we could add would be some sort of code to linear interpolate between these settings. But maybe we'll do that some other time.